Alright guys, today we are going to be reacting to a German Army MRE review, the 24 hours EPA Bundeswehr Einmannpackung Federal Defense Combat Equipment, I think it is. We're going to react to some of this. So make sure you like to subscribe, guys. We're almost to the 4,000 subscriber mark. Let's jump in.
What's up, guys? Rations here with you again, and today we're going to be doing another international military ration review. We are checking out the gigantic German Bundeswehr Einmannpackung. This is a 24-hour ration for the German military, coming in at a crazy 1.9 kilograms. This is a tremendous amount of food for one person for one day. These are not the easiest rations to get your hands on here in the United States, so I'm very excited to check this one out. It is over a year past the expiration date, so hopefully the contents have held up at this point. Before we take it over to the desk for a closer look, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like seeing these military ration reviews on YouTube, and to subscribe to the channel to catch all my future videos. Also, while you're at it, let me know what ration you'd like to see me review next down in the comments. And without further ado, let's get this German Einmannpackung over to the desk. Germany produces two major types of Einmannpackings for its military: a bagged ration, which is the one that we'll be taking a look at today, and a boxed ration, which I will be reviewing in a future video, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch that. This is one of the most expensive rations I've ever attempted to review here on the channel. That is the Bundeswehr Einmannpackung Federal Defense Individual Combat Ration, of course from the great country of Germany. There is a date on the front of the bag here, and I can only imagine that this is a Best Buy date, April 2021. And they do have a little note down here on the bottom: batch and packing date, best before end, see packaging. So I guess you need to look at the individual items to know the Best Buy date. There's a little notice on the back stating that this ration has water purification tablets. There's a cool little German cross and the company that distributes these rations. That's about everything on the outside of the package. I think I will be opening that today with a German bayonet. This is a Kar 98K bayonet from World War II. And let's start unpacking the Einmannpackung. First items I put my hands on were retort pouch products. We have a 300-gram package of pasta with beef, and another 300-gram retort of cassoulet, a package of sugar-free chewing gum bricks, 3 55-gram packages of salty biscuits. I will spare you my attempt at the German pronunciation. 2 packages of sweet biscuits, a 205-gram can of fruit cocktail in light syrup, a 25-gram chocolate bar, 2 20-gram.
Yeah, I used to eat a lot of military packages. When Hurricane Maria not destroyed, but passed through the island of Puerto Rico, the federal government sent a lot of these military packages, and I wanted to try them. And man, they were, I'm not gonna lie, they were very good. They were very good. I loved them. They were steak, they were fried pasta, very high in carbohydrates. I noticed very high in carbohydrates, very sugar as well. I think it's more for fatten up, right, to avoid the body go like in a keto state. So I love this kind of food.
Packages of peach jam, another chocolate bar. This is the first time I've ran into with no English on it, but that is a can of pork liver pate coming in at 80 grams. They're calling this tin cream of cooked ham, which sounds pretty interesting, but I think that's just going to be sort of like a potted meat. 2 moist wipes, a pack of tissues. I have a little Ziploc here. In that we have 6 8-gram packages of sugar, 2 tea pouches, 4 water purification tabs, good for 1.5 liters of water each, and 4 1-gram packages of salt. The last thing in the Einmannpackung was another Ziploc, and this appears to be more of a brew bag containing all of our drink items. In that we have 4 mix for milky drinks coming in at 3 grams apiece. I believe these are a tea whitener, basically a coffee creamer, non-dairy creamer kind of thing. 4 2-gram packages of coffee, and 4 20-gram packages of lemon flavor isotonic drink. Kind of disappointing they're all the same flavor, but they do give you plenty of drink mixes in this ration. And that is everything in a Type 3 Western menu.
This is all in one package? Damn.
Bundeswehr Einmannpackung. They do include a little leaflet with a list of all the menu items we just went over. As usual, when I am reviewing a 24-hour military ration, I use it as a 24-hour ration pack. So this will be all the food I consume for the next 24 hours. So I'll break this down in individual meals, and I will be right back with breakfast. And here we have it. I did not mention it earlier, but the outside packaging of this ration,
and I remember these. Wow, man. When I used to go to school, we used to eat in this silver platter. Wow, that's crazy. Look at that. That brings a lot of memories, man. Wow.
Is virtually the same material that the US MRE is packaged in. It might be slightly thinner, but pretty much the same stuff. This ration did not include any flameless ration heaters, so there's no way to heat the contents. They also did not include utensils to eat with. I'm assuming that those items are issued separately in the Bundeswehr, so I will be using a US MRE spoon for the eating. We will start the day with a nice cup of coffee for breakfast. So let's take a look at one of these 2-gram packages. The best buy date on this package was October 2021, so close to a year out of date at this point. It is a very fine, spray dry looking powder. Smells decent. Now that I have removed it from the package, I can tell there is a bit of variation in the texture. Some of it is very fine and dust-like, other bits are a little bit more clumpy. So if I had to guess, I'd say this is probably a freeze-dried coffee. Not very much powder is included in one of these packages though, so to have a proper cup, I figure you probably need 2 of these. Now for our mix for milky drink, it is perfectly white. I'm gonna use about half of this sugar bag. Let's try a little of this sugar by itself. Looks like pretty standard granulated sugar, nothing too special. There was no directions on how much water to add, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. I figured that's about enough. I had to guess, I'd say that's about 4 ounces probably. Give that a moment to rest while we open some of our food.
Bro, you need to put another package of milk on that one. That looks kind of weird, I'm not gonna lie.
Products here. I did decide to have both of the canned meat products for breakfast. Let's pop the top on this liver pate first. It is described as being intensely flavored liver pate, so that has me a little bit curious.
All right.
Once you've smelled one pate, you've smelled them all, and that's what this smells like. Sort of like deviled ham or potted meat. A little bit like Vienna sausages, actually. And let's pop the cap on this creamed ham as well. The label on this one it says to consume immediately after opening. That looks a lot more solid and less fluffy than the pate. Looks a good deal like Spam, actually. I did manage to nick myself with the lid of that can, but that's basically par for the course. Let's get right into it and try our liver pate. So it appears to be very creamy and soft. As I'm dragging my spoon across it, I can feel there are some chunks. Maybe that's pork meat. There's little flakes of what looks like black pepper. Before I try this, I gotta take care of this little cut because I'm bleeding just a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, like you better just take care of that. It's not funny to just see it like that.
Too much for camera. Let's sanitize that with a moist towelette. This actually smells very soapy. It's nice and wet though. And clean that thumb off. This moist towelette has an almost cologne-like smell to it. And we'll pull out one of our little tissues to temporarily wrap around my thumb to absorb some of that blood. And while I wait for that to clot, let's get back over to our canned meat here. So I got a big spoonful of pork pate. Let's give that a little taste. Super, super creamy. Powerful liver kick. It's very irony and minerally. It has little crumbles of meat in it that give you a little something to chew on, but at the same time, it's still very light and creamy. The sodium level on this is extremely high. It's quite salty. If you're a fan of pate,
the thing is that that kind of food needs to be high in sodium. That way can last longer, right?
Will love this. If you are not a fan of that liver flavor, you will probably hate this. And now let's compare that to some of our creamed ham. I was expecting this to be a bit more solid, but it is extremely soft.
Very creamy,
as well. There are no visible spices or seasonings in this, no black pepper or anything. You can see a little bit of stringy meat bits just on the edge of the spoon there, but that looks very soft and creamy. Let's see what creamed ham is all about. Wow, it just disappears in your mouth. Now that is very, very good.
It's like a small shredded ham. Those can it's like that. I love shredded ham. That's very good.
No iron or mineral flavor to this whatsoever.
And I think you can eat this. I think you can eat this with crackers as well. So I'm surprised that he has not eaten this with crackers.
It's very light. They describe this black can as having intense flavor, and I would agree with that. This other can is very delicate and light, super fluffy and creamy. Really excellent stuff. I would see this one agreeing with anyone's palate who can actually eat pork, whereas the one on the right here would be more of an acquired taste. I think it's time for a little sip of our coffee. Looks nice and creamy. Even with that half bag of sugar, it's still probably a little sweeter than it needs to be. But that is a delicious cup of coffee. Strong, a little bit bitter, a very light acidity. It completely dissolved. It did make a very small amount, so you probably want to double up or maybe even triple up to have a proper cup. But that is some darn good ration coffee in my opinion. One of the better I can remember having. Very rich, almost nutty robustness to that coffee. Really solid stuff. Check out the salty biscuits. Best by date on these was November of last year. Looks like we have some foil packaging, 4 biscuits to a container, and those are wrapped in a little corrugated protector. Those are
that's you eat that with that can of meat. I don't know that thing, right? You eat it with those. Yeah.
Perfectly uniform and beautiful crackers. A little bit toasty, nice holes all the way through. They smell pretty good too. A little bit nutty and toasty. See how they snap. Snap sounded good to me. Inside, it's a little bit airy. These are more dense filling than a US MRE cracker, but a little less dense filling than a Russian IRP cracker. Even though this is past its expiration date, it is still perfectly fresh. They dry your mouth out a little bit, but these are awesome crackers. Lightly salted, lovely crunch.
That's very nice.
Very nice, bready, nutty flavor to them. Germany got the packaging right on these because they've held up perfectly. I'm ready to try it with some of our pate. Go for the liver first.
There we go.
Nice spread.
Yeah,
that
spread it
liver
out.
pate down the hatch. The creamy, meaty pate is the perfect complement for the nutty, crunchy cracker. The salt on salt is really fantastic. This is a super savory meal item, very satisfying, and I would even say pretty darn delicious. I'm very happy to be starting my day this way. Oh yeah. This intensely flavored pate is intensely good, really good. And it's a dream pairing on those crackers. But now let's check out our creamed ham on a cracker. This spreads a good deal easier and more evenly than the liver did. I think that's about an appropriate amount. Light and creamy, delicate. Crunch of the cracker again is an awesome combo with this sort of creamed meat. I'm loving these two items, guys. Wow. The contrast between extremely strong flavor and extremely light flavor is really the star of this particular meal I'm having. Such great variety with the same kind of items. That's really unique. Now let's take a look at our sweet biscuits. We did only receive 2 packages of these total, as opposed to 4 packages of the salty crackers. Same packing style on these. They smell completely different, and they actually look different. The holes are sort of a different shape. They're the same size, but they're different.
A little bit thicker, right? What y'all think? A little bit thicker than the other one here on the right. A little bit harder too, right?
Color, different shade of tan really. These smell a little bit vanilla. It has a nice little toast rim on it, where these were in the oven. The inside's a little bit more white. See if they're as fresh as the other ones were. They absolutely are. These taste a little bit like a vanilla wafer. Kind of like a vanilla wafer mixed with a graham cracker, but more dense and solid. Very simple and pleasant tasting. We'll try that with some of our salty liver pate. Heck yeah. That added sweetness is the perfect complement to the salty. The salty crackers were fantastic. The sweet and salty might even be better. Really outstanding. And we'll see how it is with the creamed ham as well, because we do not like to leave any stone unturned on this channel. I feel like any combination that you do with this stuff, you can't go wrong. These spreads would be good on literally anything.
This is a very good amount of protein too. It's very good. That amount of protein to a can of that's probably what, 36 or 40 grams of protein. That's very bad. That's not bad. 15, yeah. It's very good.
And both of these crackers are among the best I've ever had in any ration. Now it is peach jam time. This was packaged October 2018, and Best By is October of this year, 2022. These particular packages are virtually impossible to open up with the pull tab, so you kind of need to cut into them. I'm going to use my Spyderco Paramilitary for that. Just a little incision around the edges to do it. Seems to be a bit watery. Odd little...
Come on, man. You want to use that knife. Come on now.
Jelly puck in there, surrounded by some water. Haven't ever really seen any jam that looks like that before. Let's get a quarter of that. It looks really good though. Nice dark caramelized color. There are little glimpses of fruit matter inside of the mix. Let's see how it tastes. Whoa! That is the most intensely peach flavored peach jam I've ever tried. It just slaps you in the face with peach flavor. It disappeared all too quickly in the mouth, but it is sweet, a little bit tart, and the flavor is absolutely outstanding. We'll go for a sweet cracker first and pick up that other quarter. Oh yes, I know that is gonna be good. This jam is insane. That's like eating a delicious peach cobbler. So good. I'm going to say it right now, plain and simple, that's the best jam I've ran into in any ration that I've had to date. We'll try another bit with our salty cracker, a little sweet and salty combo. The peach is just so powerful. It's like rich peach concentrate jelly. It is so good. I do like it on a sweet biscuit more than I do on the salty biscuit. And this will probably make somebody angry, but I would feel like I was doing the ration
you know what's crazy? You're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. I was gonna say you can dip a little bit of that meat with with that peach. Man, it will taste amazing. Usually, you know what? In Puerto Rico, we do it like that. We mix it up with shredded meat, that kind of shredded ham, I would say, with peach all together. It tastes amazing.
So if I didn't do a little bit of experimentation, so I'm going to take a salty biscuit, put a little bit of our creamed ham on it, and top that off with a blob of peach jelly. I have a feeling this is going to be the best yet. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pork always pairs well with fruit anyway. The salt of the cracker with the salt of the meat, that crazy good, powerful peach flavor, really outstanding combo. I'm blown away by this rather small but super flavorful breakfast.
Effective.
Perfect way to start the day. And with that, let's move it right on over to lunch. The crackers and spreads did a good job of holding me over for a few hours, but now I am most certainly ready for our next meal of the day. For lunch, I decided on the pasta with beef. I have already boiled this, so it is extremely hot at the moment. Along with that, we're gonna have some more salty biscuits in case they're needed. And for our beverage, we will do the lemon flavor isotonic drink. Each one of these pouches is good for 250 milliliters of water. I think I'm going to double up. There's our blindingly white isotonic drink powder. Into the glass we go. And one more for good measure. That should be enough powder for 500 mils. Which that is just about 500 mils. Before stirring, I'm already getting a blast of citrus smell up my nostrils. I am rehydrating this powder with cold water, and it is looking a tad bit clumpy. After pretty intense stirring, it is all dissolved though. Sort of a milky white color. And let's get this pasta with beef opened up. 300 grams is the perfect size for a main entree in my opinion.
Let's go.
Oh boy,
Wow.
That stuff looks outstanding.
That looks amazing.
Oh yeah, nice chunks of meat.
Oh man.
Big, curly noodles. Sauce appears to be a little bit watery, but no complaints from me as long as it tastes good. And judging by the aesthetics of this one, I expect it to taste fantastic. These retort pouches, by the way, are very modern in their construction. They have a gusseted bottom, so they do stand up on their own. For display purposes, though, it's easier to get everything onto the tray. Let's have a nice up-close look at this. Tons of noodles, and I really like these spiral noodles. They hold on to a lot of sauce. The meat to pasta ratio is fair. The beef is not processed, to my surprise. We have some awesome meaty chunks of super soft, supposedly slow cooked beef roast. The sauce of these in is very thin, but it does smell like a tomato sauce. There are no visible spices or herbs that I can spot, but I am picking up a little bit on the aroma of such. Seems like it's gonna be savory, a little bit oniony, a little bit garlicky. Steaming hot from boiling. Let's go in for a taste. Get one of our little noodles and a little chunk of meat for the first bite. The noodles are extremely soft. The meat is extremely soft. The sauce, unfortunately, is slightly bland. If you get a bite with meat, it makes up for it. But if you take a bite...
But don't you have salt there, man? If you have salt, you can put a little bit of salt and pepper. Just mix it up. So when you open the package, right, put a little bit of salt and pepper, close it, and just shake it. And that's it.
This noodle only, it definitely seems like it's missing something. The tomato sauce is a little bit acidic. There's no real sweetness going on with this that I can pick up on at least. Let's try just the meat. That's a very good looking chunk of beef roast there. A little bit dry on the inside on a larger chunk like that. And maybe slightly under seasoned, but the texture is very pleasing and you can't go wrong with the flavor of beef, seasoned or otherwise. Lucky for us, they did add some salt packets, and oddly enough, I think this main actually could benefit from it.
That's what I said.
It would also have been nice to have a pepper pack or two, or maybe some red chili flakes.
And mix it up.
Really help pick this up. The tomato sauce is not your traditional Italian-style marinara-like tomato sauce. As I said before, it's thin and watery, and it does taste like a tomato sauce, but it is not spiced with parsley and basil as far as I can tell. The salt sharpened things up a little bit. After all, salt is like a culinary magnifying glass. It just intensifies any flavors that are available. And although at this point, it almost seems a little bit overly salty, the taste is a bit more powerful now. I'm very pleased with the amount of beef and the fact that it is all unprocessed as far as I can tell. But as an overall dish, this is pretty mediocre at best. Well, let's get a taste of our isotonic beverage.
Mediocre at best? Okay. I guess so.
I don't know about that. It's very artificial tasting. It says it was lemon flavor, but this seems more like an artificial lime kind of taste to me. It's a little bit salty, sweet enough, a little bit tart. It has a slight astringency, makes the mouth pucker a little bit. It's good, but not my favorite. It's akin to the flavor of like a Gatorade, but with an even more artificial citrus kind of flavor going on.
Really, man? I would not think about that with Germany being so against, all the preservatives. To have that kind of flavor to a juice like that, huh?
Because the main for lunch was so soft, I think adding a little contrast of a salty biscuit is probably a good idea. So we'll just scoop right on top, get some of our meat with sauce, and try to put a noodle on there. And let's try it crunchified. It's sort of carbs on carbs with the noodles on crackers, but these crackers are so good that they definitely don't hurt the situation. The texture variation is nice, and at the very least, it gives you something else to soak up that liquid with. Is it amazing? No. Does it get the job done? Most certainly. Well, that was a quick...
I was gonna say the most important thing is to just get the job done. And I'm guessing with this kind of flavor, you'll get used to it.
Easy lunch. I'm gonna get this finished up, and then we'll finish up this ration with dinner. And it is finally time for our dinner or supper. So far, this ration has kept me very full throughout today. I did snack on a few additional crackers between meals. We'll be checking out one of these packs of tea. In that, we do have a tea bag that was manufactured in Spain for Genipsa. There's a little tea leaf, I suppose, on the end there. We'll give that tea some time to steep. Let's go ahead and open up our cassoulet. Oh, that smells very hearty. Lots of liquid.
What in there?
Very sizable portion.
Very high
Tons of
protein.
super soft looking white beans in this.
Yep.
Suspended in a watery sauce. We have a few sausages. From what the ingredients list said, these sausages are a mix of pork and chicken. It looks like only 3 of them in this whole big pouch of cassoulet. This gelatinous bit right here, I am not sure what that is, but look how jiggly and weird that item is. I can only imagine that's probably a piece of pork fat, because that looks like pork skin on the outside. Pork fat with the skin chilling in the mix. No real visible spices or anything in this. Just lots of sauce, tons of beans, and a few little sausages. Let's cut into one of these sausages to see what the inside is looking like. They're very spoon soft, super processed internals. Can't see any resemblance of individual meat fibers remaining. It's just a mix of processed meat at this point. Not really all that much to look at, to be honest. Let's go ahead and get a taste. I got a couple beans with a nice piece of sausage. Well, the texture of this is surprisingly very good. There's a lot of soft, dissolved bean in the sauce, giving it a very creamy feel in the mouth that I definitely am enjoying. It's sort of sticky on the lips. Even though it's very simple ingredients, processed sausages and beans, the sauce seems to be very rich in texture, if nothing else. As far as our seasoning goes, the salt level on this is pretty good. I don't pick up on any spices necessarily, but there is sort of a garlicky, oniony, savory kind of undertone with the sauce in this. It's basic and simple, but warming. I would assume fairly filling and satisfying. Let's get another taste of that sausage. They're very similar looking to hot dogs, or a frankfurter if you would, and that's basically what they taste like. I would say they taste more like a hot dog than anything else. I'm very concerned about this gelatinous, fatty skin that I can only imagine is pork. That bite is very jiggly. Let's see how that stuff tastes. If you're not into gelatinous textures in the mouth, certainly not gonna like that. It does have a nice flavor to it though. A little bit smoky, very rich and unctuous. But after all, it's
okay, so why would that be in the package? I'm just thinking you're in the outside. Again, you're avoiding keto, right? Even if you're not in your body hasn't really touched ketosis, you want to keep some of that fat in your body. So this is how I'm just seeing this from that perspective.
A hunk of fat. I suppose that would give you some good calories, but it's weird for it to just be all by itself like that. Had it been blended up in the sauce, I think it would have elevated the dish a little bit, and its weird texture and appearance wouldn't be quite as noticeable. With as much as I loved the pâtés for breakfast, I'm finding this particular meal to be a little bit disappointing, and I felt a similar way about lunch, although the beef with lunch was far better than these attempt at chicken and pork sausages. I've had cassoulet in a ration before, and that was a French ration. That cassoulet was absolutely ridiculously delicious. This comes nowhere close to as good as that is, but this is still very edible. It's mild.
I'm very surprised. Well, again, the way I see this one, it's just very simple, practical kind of package. I'm not too concerned about the flavor, right?
And simple and pleasant enough to eat. The tea's had plenty of time to steep. Let's give it a taste. A little bit floral, kind of light. I might have put a little bit too much water for the size of that tea bag. This does seem to me like a standard black tea. For having no sugar or cream or anything in this, is surprisingly not at all bitter. The flavor is just very light. I think I will add some of my leftover sugar bag from breakfast just to sweeten it up a bit. As always, sugar helps out tea immensely. I actually enjoy that fairly well at this point. I've had better, but I've also had worse. Not too bad. Fruit cocktail in syrup time. Hopefully I don't cut myself on this can like I did earlier in the day. Pop top, ring pull, syrup all the way to the top. Look at cherry.
You know what is crazy, folk? I'm not a fan of the fruit cans. I'm not a fan, man. I don't know how to do. When I was a kid, I used to eat them a lot. I used to eat them in school a lot. At this point, I'm not a fan at all. I just see them and I'm like, ugh.
Wow. This appears to be a very standard and basic fruit cocktail. On the outside of the can, they have measurements for both with the syrup and once strained. We have a total of 3 cherry halves in that. Looks like 1 whole grape, although it's a little bit browning on the outside. Pear and peach. And that's about all that's in there besides lots of this thin, light syrup. Let's actually try some of that syrup first. Very peachy. If you just drain that off and throw it away, you're doing yourself a disservice because it is cool and refreshing and sweet. It's so light, it's almost like a drink. You could use this to sweeten your tea and you'll have sort of a peachy pear tea, which I can see being very good. You could also soak up some of the juice with your sweet biscuits, and I think that would be a good combination as well. So I'm a fan of the syrup. Let's try out the fruit. Go in for a couple pieces of peach first. Those are super soft, but sweet and a little bit tart. Tastes basically like any canned peach. Try out several of the pear pieces. Those are a little bit gritty, which isn't uncommon for pears. They're also super soft and have a high level of sweetness. I like the peaches more than the pears, but the pears are passable. Let's eat our odd little browned grape. And that just exploded into soft mush. No real flavor of its own, other than maybe being a little bit more tart than the other items in the mix. And lastly, we'll throw down one of these cherry halves. Borderline tasteless, besides the syrup. It has no cherry notes of its own. It is just taking on the flavor of everything else.
I'm just wondering if those are real. I always wondered those fruits are real, man, because they're so nasty. Not nasty, it's just I'm not into it. I'm not into it.
Which isn't a bad flavor. Very basic, standard fruit cocktail. Reminds me of being back in elementary school. But having fruit, even canned fruit, is better than having no fruit at all. Last food item to test out will be our chocolate bar. They did include 2 of these, 25 grams a piece. So 50 grams of chocolate total for the ration. 1 large rectangular bar appears to be a dark chocolate. Let's test that snap.
Oy.
Ooh, nice clean snap. Even though the ration is a little bit past the expiration date, the chocolate is not showing any signs of blooming. And it looks to be in really good condition. Awesome snap with the teeth as well. I'm liking that. It's a little bit bitter. It's pretty sweet for dark chocolate. It melts very quickly in the mouth. Has a perfect temper, so it has just the right snap to it. About a half of one of these bars melted into a cup of that coffee would be an outstanding combination. Last thing to test will be our sugar-free chewing gum. They give a generous 7 pieces of gum, candy shell outside, soft gum base center, easy to bite into, strong peppermint flavor. Great way to freshen up your breath after some weird sausage and beans. Pretty solid as far as I'm concerned. Well guys, that was our Bundeswehr Einmannpackung Federal Defense Individual Combat Ration from Germany. Packaged in 2018, Best Buy in 2021, still in outstandingly perfect condition here in the latter part of 2022. A very solid ration, but there are most certainly improvements to be made in my opinion. I absolutely loved the canned meat that we had for breakfast. That was really the star of the whole show. Everything else, however, was passable, although not outstanding. If you enjoyed this video,
Well, do you guys agree with his review? Though, if I have some military men in my comment section below, let me know. How can I say this? The pasta for me looks very good. I'm not gonna lie, and I understand a lot of these food are more for practical purposes, and flavor is not the focus. However, I was thinking when it comes down to the pasta, a little bit of salt, not even salt, just put the pepper, mix it up a little bit. I think the pepper will probably help. This actually, the beans with the sausage, actually, I love white beans. I love white beans, so that sausage, something like this will be very interesting to try. The chocolate, the chocolate, yeah, chocolate will be nice to try it out. Tea looks very tea. The coffee, I didn't like the flavor, not the flavor, the color of the coffee. I did not like the color of the coffee. I think he should have put a little bit more milk into it. But let me know what you guys see in the comment section below. I tasted before military food. I love it. It's very nice. Different flavors. So I'm very well rounded when it comes down to the experience of eating military food. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. Do you guys agree with the video or not? I'll be interested to see. In the meantime, guys, I'll see you on the next one.